You post your wins, you share your goals, you tell your friends about your plans, and every single time someone chimes in with doubt, jealousy, or subtle sabotage that drains your momentum before the work is even done. You thought visibility would create support. It created surveillance. You thought being open would make you powerful. It made you legible. You are handing the world the exact coordinates of your empire before you even lay the bricks. Society told you to build in public, document the process, stay visible, stay relatable, stay accessible. That was the trap. True power is forged in darkness, not display. And today you learn the ghost protocol. Today you stop announcing, you stop signaling, you stop leaking. You erase what keeps you monitored, predictable, and easy to interrupt. Machiavelli understood something the modern world has tried to bury under constant posting and endless disclosure. Information is leverage. Every detail you release becomes material. Every confession becomes a map. Every routine becomes a pattern. Every visible desire becomes a hook. This is why dark psychology is not just about reading manipulators. It is about refusing to make yourself readable to people who have not earned that right. This is why manipulation defense begins long before conflict. It begins with concealment, with discipline, with strategic isolation, with understanding that the world does not merely observe your growth. It interferes with it. What if your lack of success is directly tied to the fact that you are letting too many people watch you build? What if your biggest leak is not lack of talent, but excess exposure? In this video, you will learn the 10 things to quietly eliminate if you want real autonomy, real safety, and real control. You will understand why the ghost protocol is not paranoia. It is intelligent design. You will see how Machiavellian strategy protects momentum, why strategic isolation preserves energy, and how dark psychology rewards the person who moves in silence while others beg to be witnessed. If these ideas resonate with you, hit that subscribe button for more top-tier content. Also, drop a ghost mode in the comments so I know you're ready. Let's dive in. The first truth is uncomfortable. You're not only being judged, you are being tracked, not always by enemies, sometimes by friends, sometimes by family, sometimes by co-workers, sometimes by strangers who feel a private thrill when your confidence cracks. It does not matter whether they consciously want to ruin you. What matters is that once people know your plans, your pace, your fears, your deadlines, and your habits, they gain access to your rhythm. And access changes power dynamics. The less they know about your reality, the less they can infect it. That is the heart of the ghost protocol. Not theatrical secrecy, not fake mystique, practical invisibility, clean architecture. You become harder to predict, harder to pressure, harder to derail. This is why build in public fails more people than it helps. Public visibility feels like accountability, but it often creates performance instead of progress. It turns action into narration. It rewards appearance before achievement. It invites commentary from people who have no intention of helping carry the weight. Stop giving people front row seats to your struggles. They are eating popcorn, not helping. And there is something even darker happening underneath. Dark psychology teaches that many people react to your unfinished ambition with a strange mixture of curiosity and hostility. They do not want to miss your rise, but they also do not want to feel small beside it. So they watch, they compare, they speculate, they ask little questions, they plant little doubts, they crack little jokes. None of it looks lethal in isolation. Together, it is death by 1,000 interruptions. That is why the 10 things to quietly eliminate matter. They do not just clean up your life. They seal your perimeter. Machiavelli would have laughed at the modern obsession with announcing strategy before execution. He understood that Machiavellian strategy depends on ambiguity. Be visible enough to exist, opaque enough to remain unowned. The most terrifying person in the room is the one who has nothing left to prove. So, before we even get to the first erasure, understand the principle. Your life cannot be secure while your interior remains public property. Your goals cannot mature while they are constantly exposed to other people's moods. Your confidence cannot stabilize while it keeps getting measured by spectators. Strategic isolation is not antisocial weakness. It is a fortress. And now we begin. First, erase the habit of announcing your goals before they have substance. This is item 1, and it is where most people betray themselves. A goal spoken out loud loses force because part of the brain starts mistaking declaration for accomplishment. You feel a premature reward. You get social acknowledgement before the work is done. The ego receives applause for a future that does not exist yet. That is why unfinished dreams die so easily in public. The body relaxes. The urgency leaks. The spectators start shaping the vision. And the moment you hit resistance, shame enters because now your private struggle has a public audience. Tell no one. Build first. That is not fear. That is manipulation defense. The world cannot sabotage what it cannot monitor. This is one of the first laws of the Ghost Protocol and one of the smartest forms of Machiavellian strategy. Conceal intention until intention becomes reality. Second, erase your predictable patterns, your real-time location, your exact schedule, your daily route, your repetitive public habits. Every routine you maintain is a pattern a manipulator can exploit. Break the pattern. This matters more than people realize. Predictability is comfortable, but it makes you easy to read, easy to intercept, easy to lean on, easy to burden, easy to study. If everyone knows when you wake, when you train, when you work, when you rest, when you are vulnerable, and when you are likely to answer, then your life is no longer fully yours. It has become interactive public property. You do not need to vanish into the wilderness. You need to stop broadcasting your timing. Stop checking in everywhere. Stop posting in real time. Stop making your movements available to people who have not earned the information. Strategic isolation begins with time protection. Third, erase the reflex of instant availability. This one will expose your conditioning faster than almost anything else. If everyone can reach you immediately, then everyone can pull you out of focus on command. That is not connection. That is remote control. Most people live like emotional receptionists. They answer every ping. They soothe every curiosity. They explain every delay. They apologize for taking space. Then they wonder why their inner life feels crowded and weak. Because access was never filtered. The Ghost Protocol does not mean becoming rude. It means becoming selective. Delay responses. Answer when useful, not when summoned. Let silence do some of the work. Let people sit with not having immediate access to you. When you delete this habit, some people will accuse you of acting superior. Let them. You are not acting superior. You are acting unavailable to interruption. Machiavelli knew that immediacy is often a trap. The person who can be rushed can be ruled. The person who answers too fast reveals priority. Slow your rhythm. Protect your attention. You are not obligated to be reachable at the speed of another person's impulse. That is item 1, item 2, and item 3. Already the perimeter is changing. But the outside world is only one threat. The deeper leaks are emotional. Fourth, erase emotional oversharing, especially during unfinished seasons. Do not skip this. It is the primary way modern manipulators track your mental state. Every time you publicly narrate your breakdown, your confusion, your loneliness, your anger, or your insecurity, you may feel temporary relief. But relief is not always safety. Often it is data leakage. Now the world knows where you are soft. Now the wrong people know when to approach, when to flatter, when to advise, when to undermine, when to test you. This is where dark psychology becomes practical. Not every listener is a safe witness. Some are researchers gathering your weak points. Some are comfort addicts who only like you when you are broken enough to need them. Some are quiet competitors who feel calm only when your edges are visible. Keep your interior sacred. Process with the few, not with the crowd. Fifth, erase the smile and apology reflex when you are uncomfortable. If you still feel the need to smile when you are uncomfortable, you have not mastered the protocol. That reflex trains people to keep crossing the line. You laugh when disrespected. You soften when pressured. You apologize when they made the room strange. You use warmth to survive discomfort, and the world learns the wrong lesson. It learns that your boundaries can be reached through awkwardness. Stop smiling to protect other people from the consequences of their behavior. Stop apologizing for taking up clear space. Let silence land. Let your face go neutral. Let discomfort belong to the person who created it. The most terrifying person in the room is the one who has nothing left to prove. Sixth, erase the digital crumbs that reveal your state of mind. Your likes, your story habits, your passive-aggressive reposts, your late-night online spirals, your visible need for witness, your need to signal mood instead of mastering it. People are reading you through your digital behavior more than through your words. They know when you are lonely. They know when you are angry. They know when you are distracted. They know when you are chasing approval. They know when you are vulnerable enough to contact. This is why the ghost protocol is not just about silence in conversation. It is about silence in pattern. Strategic isolation in the digital age means eliminating unnecessary evidence of emotional fluctuation. Do not let your timeline become a public pulse monitor. Machiavelli did not have social media, but he understood surveillance. Machiavellian strategy always asks one question: what are you revealing that can later be used against you? Modern people answer that question carelessly every day. And here is the darker layer. Once people cannot read your state, they become cautious. They cannot time your weakness. They cannot predict your hunger. They cannot bait you with precision. Here is the exact psychological mechanism that makes them fear you when you become completely unpredictable. They lose the illusion of access. And when access disappears, control starts to die. But erasing leakage is not enough. Some people still remain exposed because their identity is built on performance. Seventh, erase the need to explain every decision. This one is subtle, but it ruins more lives than obvious sabotage. You leave a room and feel the need to justify it. You say no and feel compelled to make it sound noble. You change direction and write a speech. You end a friendship and build a courtroom case in your head. Why? Because you still think clarity requires consensus. It does not. Explanations are often invitations to negotiate. The more you explain, the more material people get. They do not always listen to understand. They listen to find entry points. They listen for softness. They listen for guilt. They listen for leverage. That is why manipulation defense often sounds boring. I am not available. That will not work for me. I have decided. No. Clean language. Low oxygen. No performance. Dark psychology rewards the person who understands that over-explaining is sometimes self-betrayal disguised as politeness. The ghost protocol deletes the whole reflex, not because you are cruel, because you are done begging to be approved for your own decisions. Eighth, erase visible status theater and premature signals of wealth, progress, and access. When you delete this next habit, your friends may accuse you of acting superior. Let them. You are not superior. You are sealed. Do not show the new money too early. Do not display every upgrade. Do not advertise every connection. Do not parade every small win. Do not let your image run ahead of your foundation. Why? Because visibility attracts hunger. Some people will want a piece. Some will want to compare. Some will want to test whether you are as stable as you look. Some will borrow against your momentum. Some will resent you before you are even secure enough to withstand it. Machiavelli utilized this exact form of erasure to survive a lethal political world. Never reveal the full architecture while it can still be attacked. Let others underestimate the scale. Let them misread the silence. Let them think nothing is happening while the structure hardens in private. This is not false humility. It is operational security. It is Machiavellian strategy at its cleanest. The empire should be finished before the banners go up. And notice what this does to power dynamics. The less you perform your becoming, the more energy you keep for actual construction. Performance burns force. Secrecy stores it. This is why so many people are exhausted. They are not just building a life, they are building an audience for it. Stop. The Ghost Protocol asks for a harder kind of strength, one that can tolerate being unseen while the real work matures. Now we move to the heaviest erasures, the ones tied not just to visibility, but to dependence itself. Ninth, erase debt, dependency, and the obligations that make you easy to steer. Erase number 9 will save you from decades of financial and emotional debt. Pay close attention. Debt is not only financial, it is psychological. It is social. It is relational. It is every arrangement where your freedom depends on not disappointing the wrong person. Borrowed money, borrowed identity, borrowed housing without a plan, borrowed status, borrowed confidence from people who can withdraw it, borrowed peace from approval, borrowed belonging from circles that require obedience. As long as you are dependent, you are readable. As long as you owe too much, you can be pressured. This is why strategic isolation is not complete until your life becomes less negotiable. Fewer hooks, fewer favors, fewer silent contracts, fewer strings attached to your time and dignity. This does not mean rejecting all support. It means rejecting support that secretly purchases influence over your direction. Machiavelli would have recognized this instantly. Gifts are often chains wearing perfume. The person who subsidizes you often expects emotional jurisdiction over you. So erase unnecessary subscriptions that keep you working for image. Erase financial habits built to impress people you do not trust. Erase living arrangements that force you to tolerate disrespect. Erase social dependencies that make honesty too expensive. The Ghost Protocol is not complete while your survival depends on remaining agreeable to people who drain you. And here is where dark psychology becomes almost mathematical. Every dependency creates a point of control. Every point of control creates leverage. Every piece of leverage distorts your decisions. If you want to disappear from manipulation, reduce the handles. That is manipulation defense in its most adult form. The less they fund, know, schedule, soothe, rescue, or validate in your life, the less they can reach in and turn the wheel. Strategic isolation is not isolation for the sake of loneliness. It is the reduction of foreign control inside your system. You are building a life that does not need public approval, emotional babysitting, or constant witness. That is why the Ghost Protocol feels so severe at first. It is not just changing behavior, it is ending dependency. And once dependency starts dying, something else must die with it. The old self. 10th, erase the identity that requires visibility to feel real. This is the final item you must erase, and it is the very foundation of your current identity. Once it is gone, you are truly free. Most people do not fear failure as much as they fear invisibility. They want proof they matter while they build. They want recognition before results. They want to be watched becoming. They want reassurance that the suffering is being witnessed, that the effort counts, that the world sees them trying, that hunger is understandable. It is also dangerous, because once your identity feeds on being seen, you can be managed through visibility. You start performing consistency instead of building it. You start posting discipline instead of living it. You start curating mystery instead of creating strength. You become a public draft of a private mission. Erase that self. You are not obligated to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. That line matters because the old identity will fight to survive. It will say, post it. Tell them, let them know what you are doing. Show them you are serious. Remind them you still exist. Prove you are progressing. Ignore it. The real ghost does not disappear because he is weak. He disappears because his attention has become too valuable to spend on spectators. He stops narrating his life to people who have done nothing to earn authorship over it. He stops leaking drafts. He stops introducing the unfinished self to an audience addicted to commentary. This is where Machiavellian strategy reaches its deepest level. You do not merely hide your plans. You hide the psychological need to be seen having plans. That is the last dependency. That is the deepest exposure. And when it dies, your movements become cleaner. You choose with less noise. You build with less distortion. You become harder to flatter, harder to bait, harder to hurry, harder to define. That is the ghost protocol completed. No announced goals, no predictable routes, no instant access, no public bleeding, no apology reflex, no digital pulse monitor, no explanations for sovereign decisions, no status theater, no corrosive dependency, no identity built on witness. These are the 10 things to quietly eliminate, and once they are gone, people will call you distant, private, changed, intense, difficult to read. Good. That means the perimeter is working. Here is what they never tell you. Privacy is not emptiness. It is pressure. It stores force. It gathers energy that would have been wasted on spectacle. It lets discipline grow roots. It lets strategy mature away from opinion. It lets power stop asking to be seen. You started as an overexposed pawn. Every move announced, every mood visible, every goal vulnerable to commentary, every routine traceable, every boundary negotiable. Now you understand the architecture of invisibility. Dark psychology showed you how information becomes leverage. Manipulation defense showed you why oversharing is self-sabotage. Strategic isolation showed you how to preserve attention. Machiavelli showed you why concealment is not cowardice, but command. Machiavellian strategy showed you that the strongest structures are often built outside the field of applause. So take the lesson all the way, disappear from their radar, and conquer the map. Comment, delete everything if you are done letting the world study your unfinished life. Subscribe if you are ready to move like a strategist instead of a performer. Most people are trained to confuse exposure with relevance and attention with power. Here, you learn how to protect your momentum, control your information, master dark psychology without becoming noisy, use manipulation defense before the trap closes, practice strategic isolation without losing direction, and apply Machiavellian strategy where it matters most, in the private architecture of your life. This is for those building something too serious to be interrupted by spectators. To understand how to weaponize the silence you have just created, click the video on screen. See what others miss, know what others fear, become who others can't.